Hey guys, it's Luppa from Imba here, and I'm just here with another set of replays from IEM Shenzhen. This is going to be Snute versus Jaedong, and I wanted to pick this set just because basically within the community there's been a lot of, how do I put this, dislike to the ZVZ matchup because, you know, it's a lot of roaches, a lot of lings, a lot of binnings, a lot of early tech stuff, and you don't rarely get to see a lot of the late tech stuff. So I wanted to just go through this series because there's a lot of things that are kind of underlooked, especially when it comes to casting, that I thought that would be helpful for to analyze and to kind of show you people that it's not just a lot more simple than people take it. So we're gonna hop into these games right now. I do have my trusty well, that's not the words. I do have my trusty notebook here with me to go through these, so let's just start the replay. So it is on Overgrowth, and as you can see, Snoot's in the bottom left and Jaedong is in the top right. And Snute just right off the bat just goes for something a little unorthodox, a little bit cheesy. He does go for this 9 pull now. I don't know if people know this, but Jaedong is kind of known for going for early pulls in ZVZ specifically, in tournament games a lot more often. So this is kind of weird by Snute to kind of, you know, almost metagame Jaedong, because if someone is going a temple, the least thing they're going to expect is another temple. So that's like the least thing in their mind. So I don't really understand this kind of move. As you can see, it works out perfectly fine, but it's kind of it doesn't seem like some sort of, you know, mind game or anything like that. It's just a straight up. It's kind of relatively safe, you know. It's just a lot of aggression early, and as long as you play it correctly and respond correctly, it can put you in a good position. So as you can see, doing the extractor trick there, making sure to get Eloise out, and unfortunately for Jaedong, he does go for that 15 hatch. Now that delays his pull timing by quite a long time, and you'll even see later that it gets delayed by even longer, because he does go for a gas soon enough. So he goes all the way up to 17. Usually in CVZ, whenever you're going for 15 hatch, you do want to go for a 15 pull, because just in case something like this happens, because he's not going to have Zerglings out for quite a long time, and this hatchery is dead in itself basically. So you just go for hatch gas pull, which should just be an auto loss to an early pull like this. It should just be an auto loss, because he's not going to have Zerglings are on the way, and he's just started his pull. He's not going to have any sort of defense up for this. So Snute does get this kind of, you know, luck of the draw kind of effect going, and he does go for the gas as well, so he can get the Zergling speed up straight away. And he does commit a bit to this. He goes for up to 10 lings. Usually we'd see people go up to 6 or 8, but he goes straight for the hatchery. Now, what's unfortunate about this is because of Jaedong's build, he can afford to lose the hatchery. And it's something that people don't really understand. And also just, he lets it finish. So he's going to let this finish. It doesn't cancel it, because the 300 minerals he gets don't actually help him. What can he build? What, a queen and 2 sets of Zerglings? The 225 minerals, sorry, that he would get from it actually don't do anything. But delaying him from going up into the main does do something, so he actually opts to not cancel it. And people would think this is a mistake, but it's perfectly intentional. So as you can see there, just go for the hatchery. Now what I said earlier about the fact that it's fine for him to lose his hatchery is because he got this such an early gas that his Zergling speed is going to be really, really quick. Really, really, really quick. So he does get the hatchery kill, and he goes straight into the main. And now by this point, because he spent so much time on that, he can't really kill that many drones, because as you can see, Zerglings are on the way, and he's just going to use these drones, micro them, drone drill them as well into the minerals so that he doesn't get any kills and try to surround. As you can see there, Snoot's very afraid of a good surround there, so he does pull out. And wait, 1 second, I messed that up. So as you can see at this point, it's relatively even in drone count, and both players do not have a hatchery. But the thing is with Jaedong, he was 300 minerals behind because he lost his hatchery, but he's actually okay because he didn't lose any drones or anything like that, and, you know, it was a big committal by Snute, so it's not that big of a deal. And as you can see, he does get Zergling speed. Snoot's Zergling speed is also very quick, but he's had to sacrifice getting a hatchery for that. And it's basically just turned into an even game right now. And then Jaedong just opts to go for the hatchery at some point. He knows that if Snute were to make more Zerglings, since he does have a bit of an Zergling speed timing, if Snute were to commit a bit more to some more Zerglings and push out, it would work really, really badly for him, because Jaedong's going to have the earlier speed, so he's going to be able to chase it down really quickly. That's why he's Jaedong building a couple more lings just to make sure he can push all these Zerglings all the way back. And I'm not sure... Jaedong does see the hatchery, so he's not afraid of any sort of early banelings coming up. So he's making a couple more lings, getting some more drones as well, and getting this hatchery up. And basically just game plays out, you know, no one really wants to make units, and then at this point here, this is the biggest point of the whole game. So Snute's making drones while he's attacking, which is perfectly fine, because anything that comes out he's going to be able to react to. And he's got 2 banelings here just in case any lings, because if he pushes out with these lings, and then there's too many lings here for Jaedong, he has to micro all the way back to his base before he can start making banelings. But he has these 2 banelings here just in case that does happen. So Snute's making drones behind this. But the thing is, he's making so many drones, but Jaedong's making units. And the income tab shows this. He's going 26, he's 11 drones ahead. But this is too much, because what ends up happening, as you can see with this counterattack, is that because Snute did not see these units coming, he didn't prepare for them. And he's so many drones ahead, but these are all drones that are not units. These are all drones that, if you look at the army supply, it's so much higher here for Jaedong. And Snute just did not see this coming. He just goes in. The banelings do have a bit of hesitation, but they go in and get so many drone kills, and it just rallies on from this point, because Jaedong always just has more units. And this goes on for ages, you know. Lots of drone kills, lots of microing, good microing from both players. But Jaedong's just able to whittle them down so much that Snute just has to tap out. This goes on for quite a while. But yeah, so that really, really cute move with those banelings over to the side is basically won him this game, because it was relatively even and Snute just did not scout it. And it's not as if it was Snute's fault, because why would you scout there? You wouldn't even think about it. But it was just kind of a, not like, I don't want to say a gimmick to discredit Jaedong, because it was a perfectly smart move, but it's just, you know, unfortunate. As you can see, he's on even drones, but Jaedong just has more army, and he's always on the aggressive, and he's getting so much better baneling hits than this. It goes on for quite a while, and in the end, Snute just has to tap out. Too many stuff here for Jaedong, and GG is called. That was the first replay. It was well played by both players, but that initiative to go for that early attack, well, not early attack, but that baneling counter attack, basically just won him that game. And was very, very smart by Jaedong. So we're gonna get into the next game now. So at this point, Snute is down 1 game. Now, the mindset of being 1 game down after going a kind of aggressive build, is that your opponent is going to do an aggressive build back because he feels very confident. He has a game to play with. So what Snute does is, instead of going for that 15 hatch, he just plays it a bit safe, goes for that 15 pull, because you're 1 game behind and you cannot afford another game. So, especially on this map, where it's very unlikely you're going to be able to scout your opponent. And if he goes for an early pull and you die to something like that, it's very, very hard to do anything about it. So he does opt to go for that build, early pull. But Jaedong, very confident in his own play, goes for that early hatchery into the gas, into the pool, exact same way they did before. Now, the build that Snute opts to do here is a build he actually used to do a lot a couple of patches ago. It's very, very safe, but it's very interesting as well the way that it plays out. So he does get the gas at 3 minutes 45. Usually we see people getting their gas at about 3 minutes, just so we can get their early circling speed up, but he actually goes a bit different. So he gets this gas up, gets a lot of queens up, and with his first 100 gas, he actually doesn't get circling speed. He actually opts to go for, well, he's a bit delayed now. goes to an evolution chamber and gets a lair straight away. Okay? So he's not going to have circling speed at all. He's playing very defensive for this first couple of minutes. And what Jaedong does is he actually went for Zergling speed and then took out of gas straight away. So he actually hasn't been mining gas for quite a while. But as soon as Zergling speed finishes, he starts putting drones back in gas. So it's a very quite greedy play from Jaedong. But I think he kind of knows what Snute was doing. And that's why he got this. Because you see with this, it's very... There's no kind of Ling aggression, no Ling Bane Ling aggression coming from Snute anytime soon. Anytime soon. There's no way there's any sort of Ling Bane aggression. Because if he's seen the gas in his main, he knows how much gas he's mined. And if he were to go for a really early push, well, not an early push, but if he were to go for that circling speed, it'd be so delayed that Jaedong would have a response for it anyways. So he's playing very greedy, playing very reactively, and very smart. And as you can see here, as soon as the Evo Chamber finishes, Snute does opt to go for that Roach Warren while guarding the ramp with these queens. And getting the +1 straight away as well. So this is opting to go for a very quick timing with that +1 and with Roach speed. And he's getting double gases right now, but it's very, very greedy because he has no lings, he has no ling speed or anything like that. So it's also not aggressive, but it's also very greedy because if Jaedong were to go for any sort of Ling Bane pressure, it'd be very hard to hold it with just queens and spines. But because of the way the map's assigned, this ramp here is very, very easy to abuse in terms of, defensively. So he's kind of playing the map here, which is kind of interesting. But this is a build that Jaedong does, Jaedong. This is a build that Snute practiced and actually does a lot and has a lot of success with. This build actually also is very good against Muta, because you do get that roach speed up early, and you can hit them with their +1 roach timing before they actually get mutas out, and it's very, very good to do that, because then it puts the Muta player really far behind, and it sets you well up into the mid game. Status are from both pairs at this point, and you see the roach speed straight away, and as soon as the roach speed starts, he gets at third base. Now, you could say that, oh, well, Jaedong could just make a lot of lings and then, stop the third base. He doesn't have any lings or banelings to hold it off. Well, actually, no. His roach one's very early, so he's actually able to get a couple of roaches up very quickly. Plus, he has these 3 queens to defend. Actually, wait. No. He actually is keeping those queens at the ramp, but he's using them to inject as well. And at this point, Jaedong has an overload here, but it's a bit mispositioned, because you can't actually see the third base. If you look at his camera, you can't actually see the third base. So you have to check it with these lings that he's bringing over now. But I think it's a bit of a mistake from Jaedong, because he should have that overload there. The overload there is to kind of spot that third base. And at this point, Jaedong got a really, really early circling speed. Like really, really early. But he wasn't able to do anything with it. He got it, but then he made 4 circlings. And the amount of time that he spent on getting that early circling speed, and the fact that Snute just skipped it, allowed him to get all of this stuff way earlier than Jaedong. He got his root speed up quicker, he got his +1 quicker, and he's getting everything that he needs before Jaedong can even afford it. So at this point, Jaedong is just playing catch up. And you can see also him opting to go for just 3 gas instead of 4 that Jaedong is getting. And it just allows him to get that third base up quicker. Because the quicker you get the third base up, the quicker the creep gets there, the quicker you get the mine from it. And right now, because obviously Jaedong sees his third base, he opts to go for his third base of his own. But it's just later. Everything's just late for Jaedong right now. So because of this, because of the early roach speed, the early +1, Snute just opts to go for a bit of a timing, making a couple of roaches and does push out. But behind this, he's making drones. Because he knows his roach speed's really early. So in comparison to his opponent, his roach speed's going to be late. So he can drone up behind this and get a couple of good, trades off and everything like that. He just knows that Jaedong's just behind at this point, just because of the nature of his build. He took no damage early on. He's just played very, very greedy. And it's just a very cute build from Snute here. You see, he goes over with these lot of roaches. And right now, this is just a really good trade for him. Because right now, Snute's making drones. And he's mining from this base that right now Jaedong is not. He cannot mine from this base because it's not finished yet. And he's able to start his +2 attack straight away. And Snute's just trading right now just so that Jaedong can't get a big army up and so that he's able to drone up as well. So he's not actually trying to kill Jaedong right now, he's just trying to trade, and he trades very effectively. And right now, he has his base in full motion right now, and Jaedong's barely mining from his. So at the whole point, Jaedong's just playing catch up, and there's no way that he can actually do damage. So this game kind of just plays out. Snute just is able to get more roaches out, pushes out, and has better upgrades, better everything, better economy. Falls back there a bit, but as you can see, the supply is way ahead of him now. And he just keeps making units. He knows he has the roach lead right now. He just goes in for the kill. +2 versus +1, plus a higher roach number. Just Jaedong can't do anything about it. So the very clever play of the map, and also just clever play, I think specifically against Jaedong, and Jaedong just didn't react accordingly. So that was game 2, and the series is tied up 1-1. So we're going to go into the next game right now. This, in my opinion, I think is the most interesting game. Because Snute, in my opinion, just seems to be playing the map way better than his opponent. He's just playing everything so much better. And well, in terms of the map, sorry. I should be saying that a bit quicker. And you'll see that in this game as well. So just general stuff going right now. No early pulls or anything, but Snute does go for that early gas. So this is a 14-14, which means he's able to get circuit speed so quickly. And it just goes with it. Pulls shit away as well. And Jaedong goes for his 15 hatch. Now, in theory, among Zerg players, 15 hatch is just a straight up, blind counter to 14-14. He's able to get spines up at his natural to protect any sort of drones from taking any damage. But what Snute does here is he gets his signal speed up quickly and also gets baiting nest, but he doesn't commit very much to it. Because usually this is kind of classified as an all-in, but as soon as he has 100 gas, Snute just starts taking drones out of gas. And he only wants to make 4 banelings with this. And he's able to get a hatchery up because of it. And the reason I say this is a clever use of the map is because over here, it's very easy to abuse this. This isn't a ramp like the other maps. So, well, yeah, it's not a ramp. So you can see everything here. There's no high ground vision like there is here. If you're parking all the units on here, you can't see up this ramp. Right now, you can see everything. And there's really easy way for Zerglings to do damage, especially this mineral line. So that's why I'm saying it's a clever use of the map. Snute's just able to poke in, do some damage. And he's making a lot of links right now. He's got 2 bindings on the way. He's sending them straight forward. Jaedong, obviously seeing this, moves all of his drones back into his main, gets a spine crawler because he doesn't know how much this is committed. Jaedong sees he sees a hatchery, but he doesn't know how much of a commitment this is. So he's getting a spine in his main, getting these Zerglings, and Queens and Zerglings at this point, Queens and Spines, sorry, at this point, are better than Zerglings because you're not going to have Zergling speed. The Zergling speed is a bit off. But as you can see, she's getting a bit of damage right now, Although Jaedong is a bit of an income lead, he's just forcing units out of Jaedong right now, of which Snute's running up behind it. Just a bit of pressure. And he actually was able to get these queens a bit out of position from hugging this ramp to actually get us around and do a lot of damage. So at that point, he's able to get shit into the main. Now, he does have a spine crawler here, so he can't actually do any more damage, but the queens in itself are just good enough. Because he's going to have to remake those queens. He's not mining from his natural. Snute's actually mining from his right now. And just a good play out of there from Snute. Now, I'm just looking for the 2 banelings. Okay, so Snute made a couple of units, but he knows at this point that Jaedong has to counterattack because he's a bit ahead in economy. Although he's not ahead actually in, say, drone count. He's ahead in economy just from how long he's been able to mine from his natural for. So he made a couple of units, and he's making banelings at this tower to keep applying pressure. So Jaedong just makes a couple of units to go, but he actually can't really do anything. He can't do any damage. And right now, everyone's just making units just because they're afraid of more units coming out. This just continues to be kind of ling-binding aggression for quite a while. Both players not really making any drones. Just a lot of units here, and he sees those units, catches them out. Doesn't actually catch them out. Yeah, lots of links, lots of bailings. But right now, what a clever thing from Snute is that he sees the fact that Jaedong is playing very defensive. He has these lots of queens, and queens and spine crawlers, if you want to look at it from a game theory perspective, queens and spine crawlers are very good at defending, but they're obviously very awful at offending. So right now, Snute's applying pressure, but running it behind it, because he knows that he's invested so much in this defense that it's going to be very hard for Jaedong to actually put on an aggression that's going to scare Snute. So he's getting lots of drones. He's just forcing units out of Jaedong right now while he's making drones behind it. Very clever target firing of bailings there that you see Jaedong doing, and it allows him just to force no bailings out of Jaedong. But what's cute actually is that Jaedong just doesn't have a bailing nest. He has no way to make bailings right now, so this is very scary, and I think Snute knows this. And Jaedong actually had to force himself to pull out of gas just to keep up with the drone lead. So Snute can actually abuse this so much. And you can see a lot of trading right here. Now what's cute about this is that soon enough you'll see... Sorry, wait. No. Not right now. Sorry, I lied. In a bit. Just a lot of trading going on right now. Jaedong is pushing up with his queens a bit more to kind of get a bit of map control. But because he's seen these queens pushing out a bit, it kind of told Snute that Jaedong was wanting to take this third base. What if we just ping it? Yep. Because the queens are so far offensive, he wants to get the creep out and take the third base, and that's what the queens looked like they were doing. So Snute just feels comfortable to take a third base and get another gas. So although he's taking his third base, he's saturated these bases, but he's still making lanes because there's no reason to make drones right now. He's saturated these two bases. And right now, it just seems as if Snute is in an unlosable situation. Because he's just ahead in every regard. He's ahead in army, he's ahead in, econ. He's just forced Jaedong into a very uncomfortable position where he's just allowed Snute to just macro up and get way ahead in the economy. So what we see right here now is just a last ditch effort for Jaedong. He gets a Roach Warren and just doesn't make any units and just pumps out loads of roaches. Because he knows, because of the third base, it's not even risky. It's not a risky third base for Snute. He has so many units that it actually justifies it. So he can't even break it, but he also can't play greedy because he already knows he's behind. So he just has to go for one push to see if he can just break it. But he's making, 12 roaches right now. But Snute's already, in such a good economic position. He has his lair, his +1 on the way, roach speed. He's just making units right now because he doesn't need to make drones. He knows Jaedong's on these two bases, and his third base is not there. So there's no reason for him to make any more drones. He already knows he's in a really good economic position. So all Snute needs to do is hold a push, and he just wins the game. So you can see right now, lots of units being made for Jaedong, and he just goes, wing it, YOLO, full YOLO, just going out. He just can't, he knows he can't do anything about this. Snute just goes for a bit of a counter attack here, catches all of these lanes that Jaedong made because he wants to make bailings with those, and just forces all of the units back. A little bit of trading goes on here. These queens are coming out to transfuse, which is very, very smart, but Jaedong forced to just, go full YOLO and just making a ton of bailings to see if he can get any connections, but he's just so far behind in the roach count, it doesn't really matter. And at this point, what can Jaedong really do? He can't really do anything, so he's just... Everything's pushed back, he has no units, no economy, and GG is called, so... Really well played from Snute there, just a good way to play the map, and he just didn't take any too many risks, was just very good from him. So, getting the next game on King Jaedong Station. Oh god, my voice is just going. Voice is just going absolutely mental right now. And right now, you can see Snute is actually up 2-1, and as you would know with players that are up one game in a series, they don't feel bad about taking risks. So Snute does opt to go for that 9 pull, which is kind of scary for me because the one game he lost is the game he went for a 9 pull. But I think he's kind of mind gaming Jaedong right now. He's in, you don't expect me to go for a 9 pull because that's the game I lost. You don't expect me to go with that. So Snute is kind of actually being the playmaker here and just, you know, taking initiative. But Jaedong is actually going for that hatchery as he always did, but he knows that Snute's a bit ahead, so he's actually not going his normal build. He actually goes for the earlier pull, 16, instead of going for the gas. So although he actually is not going to be able to hold this hatchery, it's not as greedy as his other builds. So it was kind of a raid there by both players. He's able to get this hatchery, goes up into the main, forcing lots of lings out here for Jaedong, getting some drone kills, but not very many. But Snute's in a very good position right now with this drone lead. But the thing is about it, he actually doesn't have enough minerals to make this natural. So Jaedong has his natural base, and Jaedong was forced to take drones out there to, you know, get a better mineral income, and he gets his zerging speed up relatively quickly, although Snute is quite close behind it. But he has his natural that Snute can't really punish. So it's kind of even, because as you can see, Snute is ahead a bit of economy, but Jaedong will have this base, one extra base to play with for quite a while. And because he knows that he actually isn't mining gas, Jaedong opts to get for this spine crawler, because he knows if he's gonna be facing aggression from Snute, he needs something extra, since he's not mining gas and he can't get a bailing nest. So Snute actually gets his natural base up way later than Jaedong, but he has his bailing nest. He's gonna try and put some pressure on. So making 2 defensive banelings right now. At least I think they're defensive banelings. Defensive banelings while going for a bit of a push, making some banelings. A lot of banelings actually. So he commits to this push, and Jaedong just doesn't have a bailing nest. So it's going to be very hard for him to actually not take any damage from this. Both of them are in relatively even drum leads, but it's not as if this is kind of all in or anything from Snute. He's just using the weakness that I think he knows that Jaedong has, just to his advantage. So wait, I'm going to get to my notes because I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, there's nothing really. So bit of a commitment here from Snute, and he does get that spine crawler down. Goes for the queens, but the queens are completely walling off that, so he's not going to get anywhere near the main. But he is droning up behind this and forcing Jaedong's hand. He's just forcing Jaedong to make a response because he's ahead in drones. So right now we just see some bailing connections, you know. But the thing is now is that Snute's seen that Jaedong is playing very defensive. He always likes to go for these queens, and he's getting 2 spine crawlers right now. So Snute just feels perfectly fine, just, you know, droning up, not making any unit, a bit of units just to make sure he doesn't die. But after this aggression finishes, because he's seen this, you know, defensive situation for Jaedong, he opts to go straight for his third base as soon as he sees the aggression finished, which is a very smart play from Snute. So his third base is way before Jaedong's, and Jaedong just doesn't have anything ahead of Snute. Snute's upgrades are going to be quicker, his layer is going to be quicker, his hatchery is going to be quicker, everything's just quicker for Snute. So right now, Jaedong is just opting to, you know, he knows he's behind, he needs to make something happen. So he goes for this aggression right here with a lot of lings. He's getting a lot of lings behind this, but also droning behind it, because he knows that Snute's 7 drones ahead, so that's 7 sets of lings behind, in terms of if you want to look at it in economy. So Jaedong does opt to go for a bit of an aggression, because he knows that even if he loses everything, he has these spines behind it, so he can defend any sort of counter push. He doesn't opt to go for this aggression, but you see, because he got that early layer, and the roach runs on the way, because he knows that Jaedong's actually behind in that regard, he wants to do some damage with it. He wants to do some damage with this, you know, +1 attack, early roach speed, everything like that. But what happens here is that because he's actually taking so much damage from this aggression, he can't actually make the roaches that he wants to push out whenever roach speed finishes, which is kind of the tipping point of this game. Because right now, Snute just wants to make some drones at this third, push out, do some damage, and then drone up behind it, because he knows he has a bit of a tech advantage. But Jaedong just doesn't let that happen. He gets lings in the main, a bit of drone kills. He's just forcing so much stuff out of Snute that he can actually mine enough to be able to make the roaches that he wants to. And Snute has to go for a bit of counter aggression. He has his spine to defend. And the game just kind of stabilizes at this point. And what you'll see Snute do is you'll see Snute going for a bit more economy focused, while Jaedong just actually, you know, has some less drones. He's opting to go for a big push with +1, just, you know, to catch Snute off guard. But you'll see that Snute's just way too ready for it. So way too much, you know, stuff here for Snute. He's not taking any damage from this. Jones kind of even up behind it, but you know, Snute's got a 2-1 lead right now in upgrades, while Jaedong just has, you know, +1. So this is a good timing for Snute, but you'll see everything kind of go wrong for Snute right now. Although he's ahead in economy, because oh sorry, I'm stumbling with my words right now. Because his defensive advantage kind of kicks in, and Snute's kind of banking up some money right now, and Jaedong's not. The aggression here actually doesn't go well for him. You know, he goes in, he tries to go in for the kill because he's, you know, ahead in upgrades, but his roach count's like a bit even. If you can look at the units, they're relatively even in roach count, but this is, you have to take into consideration defender's advantage. Plus, there's no concave advantage for Snute, so he just tries to go in, and he realizes he can't do anything about it, and he has to back out. Now, the hard part about roach versus roach is that it's not the fact that he loses the trade, but he has to go the whole way back to his base, while Jaedong starts trading with him the whole way back. So, lost roaches, loss of roaches. And he's trading so much roaches right now, while, you know, Snute can't trade back because he's walking backwards, that he ends up falling so far behind in the supply. Although he can actually spend this, and he's just not. Actually, okay. Snute's actually behind in larva. He can't actually make anything right now. And the reason I think that Jaedong actually goes a bit ahead is he actually gets his macro hatch that allows him to make so many more units, because Snute just can't make units right now. He has no larva. And it's not as if his injects are falling quite far behind. They're a bit behind. But I think the macro hatch for Jaedong is actually working in so much in his favor. And Snute, you know, going for a bit of a cute thing right here, trying to get these rocks down, forcing those units to split apart. But he just has less stuff, and he can't actually spend his money, which is kind of harsh, because if he had that macro hatch, he would have all this RB spent, he would push back, have this, you know, upgrade lead in his advantage, and it would just go so much well in Snute's favour. But he's just falling so far behind right now. He just can't spend any of his money. Index are falling a bit lackluster. I think it's just kind of the pressure's getting to him right now. And at this point, there's a massive roach lead for Jaedong. Upgrades end up being even. And the concave here for Jaedong's way better. So Jaedong just takes the game. Bit unfortunate there. Sorry, I may as well just finish the replay. A bit unfortunate there for Jaedong for Snute, that he just missed that macro hatchery and fell so far behind in the larva that it kind of cost him the game. Bit of a harsh loss, to be honest. And we're going to go to the last game right now. It's 2-2 for the players. This is a really, really wonky game. This is kind of mind game central, actually. Where it just goes really, really into Jaedong's favour. Just from what I think is a very clever read on Snute. So, game just goes out perfectly normal. No early game shenanigans right now. And Snute just goes for the build that went the best for him. He goes for that same build he went on Nimbus, where he gets a later gas. And it almost seems as if Jaedong's reacted completely just to Snute's play, and just, you know, wonky otherwise. Because Jaedong opts to go for gasless, which he's never done, and he only does it on this map. And he gets his gases of what, 5-10, so he's able to actually get this, he's able to get these two gases up relatively quickly, and techs up a bit quicker than, say, 5-30, which some people might like to go to, just because they want the extra minerals, the extra drone count. But Jaedong opts to go for the 5-10. But Snute actually also, although he gets his later gas, he does actually get circuit speed as well. So this is kind of, you know, both players are kind of playing a bit suboptimally, just because they're a bit, you know, this is the final game. whoever wins this goes into the round of 4. It's just a bit, yeah, a bit icky. And you see Jaedong going for double evolution chamber and the spine curler just for a wall off. But what happens next is the most interesting. Is that Jaedong just opts to go for double melee upgrades. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about this, okay? The double melee upgrades, they work really well against what Snute's been doing, which is either been no Ling speed and no banelings straight up to roaches, or a lot of Ling banling aggression into roaches. Because whenever the +1 finishes for Jaedong, any sort of Ling banling stuff is going to be, you know, suboptimal. Because banlings will not be able to one-shot Lings. So he actually just goes for this, and Snute opts to go for a bit of an attack, while also getting the third base. And it doesn't really go in his way. It's a very committed attack, even though he's getting the third base. He's got no layer or anything behind it. He's just going a lot of Lings, a lot of roaches, and he gets loads of banlings at his front as well. So at this point, Jaedong's seen this, and he's getting some spines. He has some queens here, but he also, you know, slow Lings against roaches, not very good, but he holds him at this ramp, and Snute can't really do anything about it, but excellent micro here from Jaedong, minimizing the amount of banning damage, because 2 banlings could kill all of these Lings if it went correctly, but right now, Jaedong says excellent micro from him. I'm actually going to zoom this side a bit, so not seeing any damage from these banlings, and right now, this is just where it goes awful. +1/1 does finish for Jaedong, and because there's no layer or anything, no layer, no upgrades for Snute, the 1/1 Ling's actually doing wonders for him right now. So he's just injecting, making sure he has lots of larvae for these Lings. He's going straight up for lots of Lings, just to go so much damage onto all of these units. And he pushes Snute back completely. Even with all of these Lings, he doesn't even have banlings to counter all these banlings. He just microing perfectly. And saves the hatchery with all of the Ling reinforcements he has. And it's beautiful almost. That he just, this is incredible. And because of that, Jaedong just pushes out with all of these +1/1 Lings. And Snute just has no answer for them. He just keeps making Lings right now. Although he has loads of banlings, yeah, that's fine, but that's cutting into so much of your tech. Snute still does not have a layer, no upgrades or anything. And because of the way that the map is, and because of the fact that Jaedong went for these early +1 Lings, this counterattack actually does so much more damage than usual. And because Jaedong's still scared of, you know, like, a lot of roaches doing a lot of damage, because even with +1/1 Lings, a lot of roaches and a lot of banlings can still kill you. So Jaedong does opt to get for that early roach warren. Not early roach warren, but roach warren nonetheless. And just kind of a very defensive setup here for Jaedong when he doesn't, a lot of, you know, harassment here. Forcing all of these Lings back. All these banlings went to go kill him, but because he has Lings versus banlings, he just went the banlings all the way around, just all the banlings. And Snute can't really do anything with just banlings. He has to go with Lings and banlings. So Jaedong just goes back and your Lings cannot fight my Lings. So you have to bring all of your banlings back. And at this same time, Jaedong just still has this counterattack going at the third. There's a lot of damage with these Lings. But goes straight to the third. Manages to kill the third, and that's basically the nail in the coffin. Doesn't kill it right now, but he has lots of Ling reinforcement. He just goes for the... And right now, Snute just has nothing going his way. Nothing at all. Jaedong has his third base going. Upgrades are ahead. And even though it's +1/1 Lings, he has a roach warren. And he's just going to keep making roaches right now. He's got one carapace upgrade ahead, and he's got income ahead because he has a third base. So right now, this is kind of just Jaedong's game to lose, almost. And Jaedong just goes up for the lair. He took out a lot of his gas so that he wouldn't be oversaturated in gas, because he realized he was getting too much gas. He took out loads there. And, you know, Jaedong still cannot get any damage done. Lawless Queen's being really, really handy with these roaches. And it just, you know, becomes a steamroll right now. The roaches with upgrades just take over the roaches that don't have upgrades. He can't mine from this third. Jaedong's mining from his third. And Jaedong just wins the game. So, a really insane kind of meta, almost, if you want to call it that. Almost a meta, you know, transition for Jaedong. He just really opts to go for that very wonky kind of play that almost hard counters Snute, and he knows exactly how to play it. So, very smart play there by both players, and GG to Jaedong, GG to Snute as well, because this is Jaedong we're talking about. It's not any kind of, you know, random player. Snute played incredibly, and it's good that he actually got 2 games off, but I think the pressure kind of got to him a bit too much, and he just didn't know how to react to the weird play that Jaedong was doing. So that's going to be me, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video. It's just going to be me done. Please go check out imbapower.com, who I'm very, very happy to partner with me to get these videos done and get the good quality of them. So check them out at imbapower.com. That is imbapower.com. Follow them on Twitter, everything like that. Trying to get the StarCraft stuff for imbapower a lot more, you know, into the mainstream. Hopefully you'll really like this video. And that is going to be me. Thank you very much, guys. See you later. Bye, y'all.